Ms. Leava, for inviting me for this great conference. I think it is very important to discuss these issues with environment and with energy. It is necessary to make a transition in the world, and I'm happy to stay with you here, Ms. Dalkon. Thank you for your introduction, and the ministers, Ms. Valishvili and Mohulia. I think it is very important that you mentioned that Georgia will go way to renewable energy. This is the right way. I will give you an overlook over the trends in the energy markets worldwide and what means it for countries like here in the South Caucasus regions. And I can share with you the experience from Germany, how fast we can create and let growth the renewable energies, and what are the principal measures and what are the principal driving the driving issues behind this. So first, let me look to the political challenges what we have in the world. We all discuss it on the great conferences worldwide, where all the ministers and the chancellors and others come together. They want to find solutions in climate warming, in loss of biodiversity, in peak oil, in energy security, in questions of environmental disasters. We have oil wars, we have poverty, we have refugees, economic crisis. When we look deeper to the reasons of all these challenges, we will find that the deepest economic issue what we have in the world, the high dependency of fossil and nuclear resources, is mostly one of the reasons of these challenges. Though when we want to create a world without these problematic situations, we have to switch the energy system to 100% renewable energies. Otherwise, we will get more climate warming. Otherwise, we will have and see more conflict on resources and all the problems what I mentioned. Therefore, it is very, very necessary to go a clear strategy. Climate issues and peak oil, the security of resources, can be solved only by two parallel strategies. When today the atmosphere is already overloaded with climate gases, it makes no sense that we bring more climate gases to the atmosphere. Every climate emission reduction means that the concentration of climate gases will increase in the atmosphere and will warm up the Earth. Therefore, the first pillar is very necessary: stop greenhouse gas emission, not only to reduce it. Stopping goes with 100% renewable energy world served. This is possible. We have many potential of renewables, 10,000 times more do we have solar radiation on the Earth that we need energy on the Earth. So there is no lack of energy, there is only a lack of technology to implement this. But when we look to climate protection, the atmosphere is already overloaded with climate gases. We have too much carbon in the atmosphere, that therefore we must look to a second pillar to clean the atmosphere, to take out the carbon. This is possible. Make a plant management that takes from the plant captured carbon and use it as a store in the upper soil. Make humus, make fertilized soil, farmland and others, then you can get more yields in farming and more agriculture results, but you can store also the former atmosphere carbon in this soil together with growing plants. This is possible with new technologies like biocoal and others. So we have the chance to clean the atmosphere and to stop the emissions. This should be our headline for a new strategy worldwide, and therefore we should go with this. On the other side, the conventional energy system brings more and more crises and more problems. The Ukraine crisis, we know, is highly also connected with the energy crisis. Ukraine, Europe and others are highly dependent on Russian and other foreign raw material imports, and those raw material imports can be used as a political weapon or can be used as a pressure for other countries, and they are used. Only the countries who are independent from fossil raw material imports, they are free of these pressures. And therefore renewable energies is not only a climate protection thing, it is also a path to more peace in the world without crisis, because it takes this energy weapon from them who use it. On the third point, we see also a now very new development in the beginning of this year, where the situation that a lot of fossil investment is now becoming a stranded investment. A new word goes over the world in the finance industry, the carbon bubble. You can remember we had in 2008 and 2009 a bubble with the investment in USA that leads to the Lehman crash and to a great economic crash in the world. Now a lot of financial institutes warn for a new bubble. The institutes like Bank of England, like HSBC and others, they see that the investment into fossil industry is not in the future an investment that can be profitable for the future. We must learn from this new experience. The biggest company in the world, in Europe, in the electricity sector, the German company E.ON, learn from these lessons. They now go a new strategy. They close their business with fossil and nuclear and go to the new business with renewable energy and with energy efficiency. That's now a clear, very new strategy for the biggest utility what we have in Germany and Europe. We see the same development in China. China begins to ban the use of coal. China is already successful. In the first quarter of this year, China reduced 5% of CO2 emissions. Very astonishing for the world, because the world believed China would increase the CO2 emissions for 20 years. No, they reduced it already in the first quarter of this year because of banning the coal. They closed 2,000 coal mining areas because they see, China sees coal pollutes the air and we cannot breathe the air in Beijing and other ways, and therefore they make a switch to renewable energy. China, since 2013, invests more in renewable energies than in conventional energies. The switch is already there. We see also that nuclear is not a good option. The new nuclear power stations, what we create in Europe, in Finland and in France, they are not a positive example because they have 3 times higher costs than planned and 10 years longer to come in operation than planned. They are only financial disasters, and Areva, the French company, is now nearly bankrupt because of the new power plants that they have to operate and have big problems. We see the same development also in the shale gas and shale oil in USA. It is sharply declining. The oil rigs today are only the half than a half year ago. Because of the finance industry, they say the going down of the energy price in gas and oil sector in the world leads that we cannot refinance the investment into the shale industry in USA. And so the finance industry goes out, and more decisions are this. Warren Buffett, one of the biggest investors in the world, did it. Last week we had the decision in Norwegian Parliament that the biggest fund in the world, the Norwegian pension fund, has to go out of fossil investment and of the shares. This brings a lot of new trouble in the industry worldwide because the Norwegian pension fund is deeply involved into the fossil industry worldwide. We will see in Germany a lot of economical threats because of this decision in Norway. So we are very connected. And so we have seen now a new situation. The fossil and the nuclear business is in a double pitfall. When we see rising oil, gas and uranium and coal prices, then the cheap renewable energies are more interested for the energy consumers, and the energy consumers will say we go out of the use of fossil industry and switch to renewables because we want cheap energy. Today we have a situation that the fossil prices are declining, and this brings the situation that the finance industry says, no, the investment is not profitable, we go out of the investing on fossil industry. So the fossil and nuclear industry has in the future no chance. They are in a double pitfall in both directions. And everyone must know it. When we see the situation too late, then we come to economic crisis and not only into environmental disasters. The world trend is clear. The share of renewable is very rapidly increasing, and the share of fossil and nuclear energy will decrease. The energy consuming countries will go out of fossil because of the rising prices and also because of the wish of climate protection. You will see in Paris there will come a new decision that brings the fossil industry highly under pressure. And we see the energy producing countries like Azerbaijan, they must know this trend. When they come too late with the recognizing of this trend, they will lose the consumers and they will have problems with the investors. Therefore, it is also for the energy producing countries important to go fast to renewables, to take part of the new economy. Otherwise, they will come to problematics in the next decades. The growth of the renewable energies is very fast. You can learn it from the internet site of Go 100% Renewables. You can see that 100% renewable development is a fast track on the world. We have decisions in big cities like Barcelona, like Munich, like Frankfurt, like Vancouver, Sydney, Copenhagen, San Francisco. Worldwide are the decisions that the towns will go to 100% renewables are very great. So you see a map of Germany. The green underlined regions have the decisions on local level to go to 100% renewables within 20 years. And we have already whole nations who have these decisions, like Denmark, like Sweden, Iceland, Scotland, or others. Costa Rica made this decision 7 years ago. They wanted to come to 100% renewable electricity by 2020. They reached this target this year. When you create a good measure with politics and others, then you can achieve this target very fast. And we can learn from the experience in Germany. It was highly discussed how fast can Germany create the renewable energies. In 2000 we had the 6% share of renewable electricity in Germany. Nearly only the old traditional hydropower, a little bit wind, other solar, biogas, geothermal, nearly nothing. And we set a target in the German parliament to double the share of renewables by 2010 to 12%. We parliamentarians were told it would be unrealistic, unachievable. How should a great industry nation like Germany with with solar and others achieve such an ambitious goal? 12% would be believed to be unachievable. 17% Germany reached. So we can learn when the political framework is correct, and it was a decision in 2000 with the Renewable Energy Act, the EEG called in Germany, the feed-in tariff law. This made a tremendous growth, and this growth goes on. Now we have 27% share of renewable electricity in Germany. No scientist forecasted it even in 5 years ago. It can grow very fast when the political will is there. And the increasing does not come with the conventional utilities. We have a switch to a democratic system in energy system. The investors into renewables were only 5% from the old big utilities like E.ON or RWE. The investors were new people, private people, farmers, cooperatives. They learned that renewable energies is a business and an income for thousands, for millions of people. And now we have millions of energy producers in Germany and not only some big utilities. This highlights the income for the people. This is a fight against poverty for the people because they can earn money and not only big utilities. One example is a village with 1,000 inhabitants near to my hometown called Großbarthof. You might not know it. And this village decided 9 years ago to go 100% renewables. They reached it very fast with solar and with a biogas station. Now 7 years later they produce 500% of their electricity need. And with the heat from the biogas station, now they have 90% heat from the biogas station. They bring it to the houses with the heat pipelines and warm up the houses with it. A very tremendous growth, and we have in the meantime a lot of villages in Germany who follow up this example and others. They do it. And they can create it. The change, the transition in Germany is very great. This is a symbolic picture you see in the foreground, the new energy, wind power, solar fields, fields for biogas to feed up them with plants on a sustainable way, please, not with intensive industrial production in agriculture. And in the background you see the nuclear power Grafenrheinfeld. This will be closed this week. And it is possible because of the transition to renewable energies together with energy efficiency. Energy efficiency is also important as a parallel strategy to use less energy parallel to renewable energies. This trend is not only in Germany. Because of the Renewable Energy Act, we could create a new industry, a mass production, and the prices went down. You see the investment worldwide that increased into renewable energies. And astonishing is, now the developing countries go more and more to renewable energies, not only the industry countries. Yes, 10 years ago it was right to say renewables would be only a thing for the rich nations. Now it is completely otherwise. When you want energy, you should use the energy that is cheap. The development is very fast. Look to the development of solar decreasing prices. In 2010 was a turning point that a new solar panel produced cheaper electricity than a new nuclear power station. And when you look to the big investors and to the finance industry, here Lazard, a big investment bank in USA who makes yearly the overview how is the energy cost in the world, and last year report shows wind and photovoltaic is the cheapest energy resource in electricity sector. Biomass and geothermal can compete in a lot of situations with gas, coal and nuclear, but clear is gas, coal and nuclear are more expensive now compared to new investment in energy sector. But when you have need for new energy, it is the best way to go to wind and solar, combine it with bioenergy that you can have a store energy to balance the fluctuations of wind and solar, also the storage investment. It is all possible also to balance the fluctuations. Big companies go this new way. Google and Apple, you know how big they are. They now make the energy transition in their own big concern, and others follow them. And we can combine strategies to combine other things what we need. This is an example from an Italian farmer. He created a solar farm, but he standard it up very high, and he told, I am in a very dry region. I have a lack of water. The solar panels shadow my soil, and I can use the water more efficient. And I have higher yields under the photovoltaic roofs, and I have two yields, solar electricity and agricultural products. So when you go to new ways, you can create it. Greening up the farmland or greening up arid regions, greening up desert regions. It is very new to come to new situations. This is an example from a new area in the desert of Luxor in Egypt desert. This region, this area in the foreground was 5 years ago as sandy as a background. Nothing growth. And then they came with a new plant, Jatrova plant. It is a high oil plant. They use now with the Jatrova plant the oil for the diesel generators to make electricity. They could not buy the expensive oil. They stopped the diesel generators, but now they can come with the vegetable oil to the diesel generators. A biofuel that greens the land. And between the new plants of Jatrova now grows crop, and they can create also a food on the areas where in former regions nothing grew. This is a wonderful example how we could go in the future. Go with arid lands, go with devastated land, regreen it, then you can store the carbon from the atmosphere into the soil, you organize a carbon sink, and you organize food production, biofuel production on a sustainable way. You can replace the mineral oil. When we regreen 20% of the degraded land in the world, we could replace nearly the whole oil consumption of the world. The possibilities, the consumption, the potential is very, very great. And the world runs very fast. It is astonishing how fast it runs. Here's an example of solar. You see the forecasts made from the International Energy Agency or from Greenpeace or others. And red line is the reality. It runs very, very faster in the world than every forecast ever predicted. When you want to learn more about these ideas, how to go to a new climate strategy that does not accept 2 degrees global warming, but combines zero emission technology with carbon sink, then we have a chance to cool down the earth, to do not accept the global warming. We have the chance, we can create it. I made a scientific book for this, it is available. I have some flyers outside that you can go, you can take also a speech and DVD for you when you are interested. Please join this new strategy. We have the chance in the world to make a better chance, and this is a strategy to overcome the oil crisis, the oil wars, climate protection, we can organize, we can fight against poverty, we can organize a better world. Please, you are invited to join this new strategy. Thank you for your attention.